Again, was this worth your vote? Was this worth your vote? We're completely dismantling the education system, and our kids are going to suffer for it. All so you can, what, feel better about shitting on another minority group or discriminate? Like, all the little bullshit that you voted for in 2024, I think is, you're voting for your own fucking demise. What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Trey.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Back at it with another video.
Another one.
And today we're going to be reacting to somebody new for me. And the channel is called The Ask. But it's highlighting a issue that I think is very important for today, right? But first and foremost, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Obviously a new YouTuber, so it helps me to continue to grow. And if at any point you learn anything during the video, make sure you share it with your people. Keep the conversation going, keep the information flowing. This video, you know, when people vote, they have a lot of different reasons why they choose to vote one way or another, right? Me personally, healthcare is a big topic. Education, our education system, I think, is a big topic. Livable wage, like the wealth disparity in our country, I think is a big topic, right? But over these last few elections, I've noticed like there's more of these identity politics things, right? Transgender issues, immigration issues. What else was going on? You know, affirmative action, DEI, Doge, things of that nature became a big issue in the 2024 election. And I want to, you know, as y'all are watching this video, like, what do you think is more important? The issues that we're going to be talking about with this one, as now that federal funding has started to become be cut from state school districts. A lot of schools are having to shut down and consolidate, and ultimately your kids are going to get a lesser education if they're going to public school than they would have previously. And I find that to be a big deal, right? So yeah, what was transgender, like coming down on transgender in sports, immigration, you know, the Doge cuts, DEI, getting rid of all that, was that more important than educating the youth of America? You tell me.
Rural school districts across the country are sounding the alarm after the totality of the budget cuts towards education are becoming apparent, with schools across the country in predominantly red areas now saying not only will their voters not raise taxes for education, they're losing the federal grants and funding that they so heavily relied upon. And they're left with few options. And those options include firing teachers, increasing classroom sizes, and closing schools. Many of them are already planning on reducing the number of school counselors and special education teachers and assistants for those classes for the upcoming year. But
And for one, I have one of my children are special needs, right? And I can tell you the difference between when the schools have the staff to be able to you know, give him the education he needs to be able to facilitate that, because, you know, obviously he's not the only person in the school that is special needs. And when they have the resources available to give them proper care and attention and education, and when they don't, it's fucking night and day. So the fact that more schools are getting rid of these services, like, I'm telling you, it's something that we need to be conscious of. And this is not a priority for the current administration at all. You know what I'm saying? Trump just said it the other day, like, hey, you know, pretty much the government should be in charge of just war. You know, we can't do health. Well, he didn't say healthcare, but he was saying we can't do daycare, right? But essentially, you know, they're telling you they can't do healthcare, they can't do daycare, they can't do wage disparity. Like, we can only do war. That's what our responsibility is.
you have superintendents in these school districts saying, look, we won't have funds. Even if we get rid of 50% of our teachers and close 50% of our schools, we still cannot make ends meet. And the people in our school districts, the people in our counties consistently vote against education because they don't want to pay an extra $15 or $20 a year.
And on today's episode of
And with voting against education, you are voting against the ability for your kids to progress, and especially in these rural places. You're just continuing a cycle of, lower education, and you because you are not as highly educated, you won't qualify for certain jobs. In a lot of these rural countries that are voting this way, influencers and the like are telling you that you shouldn't go to college, or you're going to go there and turn woke or whatever. They're just going to teach you how to be woke. So again, you're just going to repeat the cycle. They're going to work down the street. If there is a factory, which we don't make that many things anymore, so there's not that as many factories and stuff like that around. But yeah, you're going to get a blue collar job making barely enough to live paycheck to paycheck. And yeah, it's just going to be continuing a cycle of poverty. People won't vote to be able to get us to progress out of that cycle.
FAFO, rural school districts across the nation, mostly in red states, have announced that due to the budget cuts from the Department of Education, they will not have enough federal grant money to maintain their budgets, meaning that they are down to three options. They need to fire teachers, or they'll have to increase class size, or they'll have to shut down schools. And some of the superintendents have stated that even if they close 50% of their schools and fire 50% of their teachers, without the federal grants, they will not have enough money, even in that reduced capacity, to continue to fund payroll and the regular bills associated with having a school. This is also amongst complaints from the districts stating that all of our rural areas, mostly red states, refuse to increase taxes to fund education. This tax increase would be about $15 to $20 a year coming out of people's paycheck. And that is apparently too much. So less than $2 a month to ensure that your child can go to school and get an education is apparently just too much. So
let me ask y'all a question. Was during the year of the election, I think there were I might be boosting this number up, but let's say I think there were maybe 12 transgender athletes, and like a lot of people when they were talking about their vote and what that election meant, there were 12 transgender athletes that may have played collegiate sports at the time. Is that worth completely demolishing our education system? Is it worth your kid not having an education or access to the education that is going to allow him to get in, or him or her to get into college and get a high paying job? Was it worth 12 transgender athletes in collegiate sports? And look, me personally, I also don't agree with transgender athletes in women's sports. I believe that for the time being, and it sucks for them, right? I get that. What I'm about to say, it sucks for transgender people that want to play sports, but there are not enough of them for them to have their own league. And if there are certain advantages that they're going to have in these sports, they shouldn't be allowed to play them. Hot take, I know. And until you have enough for a league, I don't think that they should be. But I don't think it's a political issue is what I'm getting at. I don't think it's an issue that should be, oh, I'm voting Republican because they're going to keep transgender out of women's sports. Like, I don't care. I will give you my opinion on it, but it shouldn't be something that Congress and the Senate and the fucking president are mandating. The schools, I'm saying, whoever runs those sports and different, they should be the ones mandating it. And I gave you my opinion, but I don't need it. I don't need my congressman to I don't need to vote specifically for that reason. I need these fucking school systems to be able to teach my kids and to provide them the education that's going to allow them to succeed for the future and be able to build and create and us to continue to innovate and be the greatest country in the world. I don't give a shit about, you voting or creating bills about transgenders in sports. I don't care about ICE being deployed to states to be like a fucking Gestapo or something like that. Like all these different things. I think this is more important. I think education, I think healthcare, I think livable wages. Those should be at the top because that gap is continuously growing larger and larger between the haves and the have-nots. So again, was this worth your vote? Was this worth your vote? That we're completely dismantling the education system and our kids are going to suffer for it. All so you can what? Feel better about shitting on another minority group or discriminate, like all the little bullshit that you voted for in 2024. I think is you're voting for your own fucking demise.
This is the stage where we have to accept that MAGA and this Project 2025 were not joking about destroying public education. And I just want to stress to y'all that if you don't know, a large playbook in a lot of dictatorships is the removal of the educated, getting rid of the ability to get educated and silencing or shipping out or threatening and forcing the educated to leave. Because when the educated are gone, the uneducated won't fight back. So just keep this in mind, not to say this is related, but y'all have a great day.
All right, so that's the situation right now. Little school.
So obviously this one's a short one, but I wanted to speak my piece because I've been seeing this happen, and our education system is one of the worst globally, right? Everybody else's education system is thriving. Hell, we spend all this money on providing weapons and stuff like that to Israel, and Israel, they have I want to say they have free healthcare. I don't know if they have free college, but that's where I believe that's where our focus should be. Instead of starting new wars, instead of unleashing ICE on blue state communities in America, like we should be using all this money that's invested in ICE, all this money that's in the DOD, all this extra money that's being added to the DOD. We should be reinvesting in our school systems, reinvesting in the states. There's still communities living well below the poverty threshold all over the United States. And the government should be aiding in providing more resources, infrastructure, education for those areas, and not focused on Iran and Cuba and all this stuff happening abroad. But that's just me. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me know if in y'all's area, wherever you're living at, if the school systems are good, bad. I'm at the point I'm definitely gonna have to figure out a solution for private school for the kids, because I don't trust a lot of the public school systems to be able to provide the level of education I think my kids deserve. But y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think about it. Make sure if you learn something, share it with your peoples. And until next time, I'll holla at you.
I pop out, they go wild, so celebrity. Too busy winning, I forgot that I got friend of me.